Today we're going to write three equivalent equations for a parabola that has x-intercepts of 3 and -5, and a vertex of -1, -8. Our three equivalent equations for a parabola are standard or general form, vertex form, and factored form. Now, to get this problem started, let's look at our important information. They gave us x-intercepts, or another name, roots or zeros, and they gave us the vertex of the parabola. Now I circled them in matching colors with our equations for a reason. If I know the vertex, then it would be a very good idea to start with vertex form. If I know the x-intercepts or roots, it would be a very good idea to start with factored form. So let's start there. Factored form, I'm going to fill in my roots or x-intercepts for my root 1 and root 2, leaving us with y equals a times the quantity x minus 3 times the quantity x minus -5. But minus the -5 can be rewritten as x plus 5. So now all we have left to figure out is our leading coefficient a. If I go back over to vertex form and fill in my vertex of -1, -8 at h and k, we will have y equals a times the quantity x minus -1 squared plus -8. Again, minus a negative is a plus a negative is a minus. So we can rewrite this y equals a times the quantity x plus 1 squared minus 8. Again, leaving us with only that missing leading coefficient a to figure out. Now we could take vertex form, take factored form, and set them equal to each other since they both equal y, just like we did when we solved systems of equations. But to keep our work nice and easy, let's just use an x value and a y value that I did not use in vertex form to help us figure out what a is. So vertex form used the vertex, but it did not use an x-intercept of 3. So if I plug in the x-intercept of 3 for x, and every x-intercept has a y value of 0, then the leftover equation only has that a as my only variable. So now we can solve following our solving techniques. Figure out what our leading coefficient is. So from here, 3 plus 1 in parentheses gives us 4. Recopy. 4 squared, 16. Recopy. Now start solving for a. So add 8 to both sides. 8 equals 16a. Divide by 16 on both sides. A equals 1/2. Now that we know our leading coefficient a equals 1/2, we can substitute that in for a in our vertex equation. And now we have a complete vertex form equation for our parabola. Since now we know what A, our leading coefficient is, we can also plug that into factored form for A. And now we have a complete equivalent factor form equation for our parabola. So that now leaves us with general or standard form to complete. To make it easy on ourselves again, let's use something we already know. I'm going to use factor form, but you could use vertex form as well. If I look at factor form here, we can use our mathematical properties and just transform it back into standard or general form. To do that, we're going to use distributive property. So I'm going to distribute my binomial x minus 3 with the binomial x plus 5. X times x is x squared. X times plus 5 is a plus 5x. Now distribute the minus 3. Minus 3 times x is minus 3x. Minus 3 times 5, minus 15. Recopy the rest of our equation. Now let's combine some like terms in parentheses. 5x minus 3x gives us 2x. Recopy. Now we have a trinomial in parentheses. Now to get to general or standard form, I'm going to distribute my leading coefficient, 1/2, giving us y equals 1/2 x squared plus 1x minus 15 halves. And remember, in math, a coefficient of 1 can be written there, but doesn't have to be. So we can eliminate that 1. And now we have an equivalent general or standard form equation. Thank you.